I'm here to tell you today about how the wealthiest elite 1% in America manipulated history to pit white people against black people, all the while distracting everybody so no one would really figure out who the real enemy was. The wealthiest people in America did this on purpose, and it might sound like a conspiracy theory to you. And it actually is. White people have fallen for it for centuries. Today I'm going to explain 4 more atrocities that were purposefully kept out of your history textbooks so white people would not know the truth about our barbaric, disgusting history of hatred. The first one is black codes. If you think about it, did you really think our nation was going to welcome former slaves with open arms and embrace them as equal? Not a chance. After emancipation, black codes were created to ensure that freed slaves remained enslaved. In many southern states, if you appeared unemployed or homeless, you could be captured, chained, and forced back into free labor. Sounds a lot like slavery, doesn't it? The next piece of whitewashed history were Jim Crow laws. They were supposed to support segregation of white and black people. Now, most people have heard of Rosa Parks and the famous bus boycott. But separate but equal wasn't just for buses. It was for everything. Most people have no clue as to how comprehensive these laws were. For 100 years after slavery ended, black people were segregated, and there was nothing equal about it. Jim Crow laws included every aspect of life: schools, nursing homes, trains, parks, restaurants, stores, hospitals, games, social events, swimming pools, books, telephone booths. Neighborhoods were kept completely separate. My third example is called redlining. Most people today have never even heard of redlining, but it was instrumental in creating inner city poverty. Redlining was a set of laws done at the local, state, and federal level that made it so African Americans could be kept from bank loans, kept from housing loans, from car purchases, or anything that would help them move up economically. And it didn't matter what their credit was or what they did. There are actual areas you can see on maps, on old maps, that were marked off as red, where African Americans were not allowed to buy. They were allowed to live in areas with the most broken down infrastructure, the lowest property values, and the least business investments. Impoverishment of our inner cities did not happen by accident. Our government knowingly and purposely created them through redlining, and you can see the results all over America today. My final example is about Black Wall Street, the bloodiest racial massacre in American history. In 1921, in Greenwood, Oklahoma, near Tulsa, there was a modern, thriving, wealthy black community. They owned businesses, they owned houses, and they were doing fantastic. But white people were jealous, and they weren't going to let this happen. There was a rumor that a young black man had assaulted a young white woman in an elevator. She never pressed charges. It was never looked into thoroughly. But it didn't matter. The whites had the excuse they'd been looking for to burn the 35 blocks of Black Wall Street to the ground. People estimated that thousands and thousands were killed, but no one really knows because the official count was 300. The people who survived the massacre reported seeing planes dropping bombs overhead onto Black Wall Street. This was not a race riot like reported. This was a purposeful massacre. White people literally went door to door, hunting down and murdering black people. The truth is, if you don't know about the massacre at Black Wall Street, if you don't know about Jim Crow and black codes and redlining, so many other parts of history that were just deleted, completely taken away from American history, so you wouldn't know. It's time to wake up, white people, because you don't know your own American history.